All right, howdy, howdy. What's up? My camera is angled too low. That seems to be an issue. Anyway, I'm back. I'm here. I'm ready to stream. Well, I'm not 100% ready because my mind always seems to be scrambled on really rainy days, and it is gray. And I mean, the rain stopped very briefly outside, but it's gonna start again pretty soon. But I am back, and it's the weekend, so I haven't been doing any video editing. But I think this week I'm gonna edit down. I'm gonna do the bulk of the editing for the debate review that I did last few streams or a couple streams ago. That editing project, while it's long, should be relatively easy because it's mostly people talking in the debate and then me trying to assess their arguments and say why I agree with them or why I don't agree with them or whatever. Uh So yeah, I expect that uh pretty soon. It's gonna be like 5 hours long, probably, because the debate itself, what like the original video of the debate was 2.5 hours, and even though I sped it up, there was a lot to go through, and there was a lot that I was talking about when that debate was happening. So, that'll be quite a handful, I guess. Anyways, I have quite a bit of news to talk about on the list, partially because last time when I was streaming, my internet just cut out like intermittently. My internet kept like going in and out and not cooperating. Um and it actually resulted in an unplayable experience in Mario Kart Wii and a pretty unwatchable experience for stream because it was just me joining a room, trying to race, getting kicked out, and then trying to rejoin and stuff. But actually, judging from what I'm seeing right now, it seems like there is some lag, obviously, because it's online. But whatever it is, it's not so bad. And this is gonna be a real small room. It'll be nice. This will actually be, hopefully it'll be good to this will be good for me talking. If it's only like 4 players, then it means I'll get to have fewer interruptions while driving than if I was in a much fuller room. Very nice. Christmas dream. Not Christmas dream. Christmas court. Yeah. I'm remembering a different custom track. Man, I get my custom tracks all jumbled up because the first time I downloaded CTGP was way back in 2012 when you still had to use Letter Bomb. And man, there were some wacky and zany custom tracks back in the day. Let's just vote random. I'm sure any track will be fine. What should I talk about first? Uh, I guess it's difficult for me to pick any given thing, especially if I don't have a specific news article for it. But I guess if I'm gonna make it a segment, I can always like refer to news headlines and uh, stuff later, and just operate off my recollection of it. You know. Ooh, Mushroom Peaks, eh? Starting off with the classic. What? I hate that. Oh well, it's fine. It's peaks, which means that there's ample opportunity for me to catch up and for them to fall off. So like this. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Unfortunately, it seems like these guys also know how to drive Mushroom Peaks. So I might not be in for such smooth sailing, but I'm sure that's okay. I guess I could just go through in the order that I've written stuff down from top to bottom, because there's a lot of things that have been happening, and I don't trust myself to remember any of them at a given time or whatever. You know, I get kind of distracted every now and again. Oh, that was such a good wall trick. Right. So first, the first thing, I guess, there's kind of a break in the action here. Um, Shoutouts to South American viewers and stuff, because there's been some South American politics happening, to which a lot of people might not be privy. Um, Recently, a little while ago, Venezuela made the decision to invade Guyana, which means that there's another regional war starting up, which is not good. I think it's pretty self-evident why that's not good. Uh, but, this has been, like, one of those territorial disputes that's been, like, on the back burner, pretty much, for a long time. Like, Venezuela has claimed, like, two-thirds of Guyana as theirs, basically, ever since the 19th century. So there's definitely some non-resource driven stuff behind this, but at the end of the day, it really is just because Guyana discovered oil recently offshore nearby their country, like in their country's waters and stuff. And Venezuela wants that oil because, well, if you know stuff about Venezuela, hi, Yoreni2, welcome to chat. Or welcome back, I should say. Venezuela is basically like on and off economic crisis after economic crisis, pretty much. So they want that oil because it'll be good for them. And that's generally, I mean, regional wars just aren't good. Why did I get rid of that mushroom? I should have held on to it. I guess the reason that Venezuela did this in the first place is because they were like, well, there's so much going on in the world, we could probably get away with this, invading our neighbor. And to be fair, that's not a bad assessment of things. I actually saw that the what was it, the International Court of Justice or something? One of the international courts that's like part of the UN was like, oh, this is significant. We should hold a hearing on this to come to a decision. And then of course the expectation there is that, like, okay, they say Venezuela, that's bad. You shouldn't do that invasion. And then nothing really happens, because that's kind of how the UN goes. But they couldn't even do that. They got together, and I heard the ruling from them about, like, the Venezuelan invasion of Guyana, which I don't know if it's happened yet, but the plan. I love that bumpy road. It can be fun sometimes, but it's very janky to drive up. But the court didn't even mention Venezuela by name. They just said that, like, oh, both sides should resolve the territorial dispute peaceably, and aggressing on your neighbors is bad, which is such a cop-out, I think. It's like, look, you weren't going to do anything anyway. You may as well. We need more of them. I do kind of miss the bumpy road sometimes. I gotta say, it is a huge quality of life thing that I'm glad exists now that there is sticky road. But at the same time, I feel like there are some custom tracks where you could benefit from the bumpy road that's not sticky road. Because I've actually now seen sort of the opposite, where custom tracks have mostly sticky road, and it can go overboard in such a way that it's difficult to control your vehicle. Like it keeps changing which way is directly down. So if you try to initiate a turn on the sticky road, it like messes up. Um, I think one of the best custom tracks that has the bumpy road. In fact, two of the best custom tracks to use bumpy road instead of sticky road are Sunset Ridge and Lunar Spaceway. You need to get rid of some of the glue. Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I think that there's definitely there are contextual uh, situations where it definitely makes sense to use sticky road. Um, but there are also a number of contexts where like you kind of don't want to have the sticky road, where you want it to feel bumpy, because otherwise you couldn't get stuff like DK Mountain, like GCN DK Mountain, just a regular old track. A lot of people like that track for being really bumpy. In fact, I'm one of those people. I really like the super bumpy section. Uh, yeah. It's like the fact that we have the technical ability, and custom track creators have the technical ability to do either sticky road or bumpy road at their convenience is awesome. But we shouldn't, that doesn't mean you should necessarily forgo like general track making principles when you're engaging with that, when you're doing that. Probably get third. That's fine. Whee! Okay. Wah. Third out of four people. Let me actually look up to see if the invasion of Guyana has started. But that's an opinion piece. Oh yeah, I did see as well. The for all the inaction of the UN, great job, guys. The United States and Brazil are taking steps to sort of posture themselves against Venezuela in this situation. And of course, the U.S. is doing it because of business interests in Guyana, right? But I think Brazil is a regional economic power in Brazil, in South America. That is, excuse me. Yes, Brazil is the foremost power in Brazil. Many people are saying this. Um, Regardless, the Brazilian government, whether it's right wing or left wing, has a vested interest in seeing its quarter of South America and South America in general be stable, whether you're coming at it from the perspective of geopolitical interest or from a more genuine perspective of people living good lives and stuff. A stable situation tends to help that a lot, and a regional war really does not help that a lot, especially because war means people get killed and stuff, and that's pretty bad. Um, and Venezuela at the moment doesn't have very many allies, at least none really in the region that can that can immediately come help them. So they're kind of I don't want to say like there's nothing they can do, because like I'm sure Venezuela's going to try something, but there's definitely a deterring factor that comes from both Brazil and America saying like, hey, don't invade your neighbor. Especially because like this is one of the darker elements of it. If they invade, we're probably not going to invade them back, but there might be like sanctions and stuff, which is very harmful. You know, does this channel have a Discord? Yeah, if you type exclamation point Discord, you can get a link to the Discord channel, and I recently made it so that it is a permanently valid link. Dude, I'm just going nuts with this, red shells and blue shells. Just joined it? Nice. The community grows bit by bit. Yes, I have mushrooms. I can actually do this now. Check your Discord so you can say hi to me. Well, I can't do it right now, but I will afterwards. Oops. Dude, imagine that banana hit. I don't even know where it landed. Okay, it's there. Did I just see a blue shell? What? Like, I don't know. I'm probably lagging a little bit. My connection already seems like it's better than it was last stream, which is good. Ah, there's already a Wikipedia article about this planned invasion. Yeah, here we go. Venezuela, supported by Nicaragua. Guyana, supported by United States, Brazil, Caribbean Community, Commonwealth of Nations. Yeah, okay. So the invasion's probably not going to happen, but this definitely does a lot to flare up tensions in the region. Hopefully it dies down eventually, but... Pendrana Frostbite? Bro, I don't even know if that first thing is a word. I know what Frostbite is, though. Okay, Obstagoon. Alright. Invite code didn't work, by the way? Really? Jeez, well, I'll have to fix that. If that's true, that might be an issue on Nightbot's end. I'll fix that. I'll fix that after stream. I'll make sure that like there's a working link for the Discord. And by the way, if you know, you can do that in the Twitch chat when the stream is offline. Nightbot is there 24/7, so you can still like grab the link. So DM me the server link after the stream. Yeah, sure. This track is fun. Oh no, dude. Discord is Yorani? Okay, pretty straightforward. Ah, nice try. Oh boy, I am now in first place. Interesting. Ah, I didn't quite get him. Dang, these people are good at driving, it seems. I heard a blooper, the best item in the game. Got him. No, I fucked it up again. Oh well. That's enough of me being a tryhard about things. I I should talk about the actually more fun thing that I did recently, which is I've been reading 1984. Everybody loves to meme about that book, especially when they haven't read it. Uh, and I used to do that too. I am no exception to this. I may play some Mario Kart Wii as well. 1984 has a nice story. Yeah, and I mean well, it's a very serious story, but it's a good book. Um, if you can believe it, I had never read that book until recently. Throughout high school, I never read it. Throughout college, I never read it. And then I decided to do so just on my own. And I liked it. Um, I have a lot of things to say about it, though. I actually, looking back on it, right? I'm glad that I didn't read it in high school. My parents were like, you should read 1984. Funny, so were my parents. They said, like, wow, you should read that book. You've never read it? That's crazy. Um, I'm actually glad I didn't read it in high school, and I'm glad I didn't read it in college. Because in high school and college, my capacity for critical thinking was still developing at a steady pace, and I really, like, couldn't there's a certain degree of complexity that's in 1984 and a lot of other books like that I just wouldn't have been prepared to engage with. And I think the experience would have actually been tainted if I was reading 1984 as part of a class assignment, and you had sort of the teacher leaning on you to say, like, this is what the author means here and here, because then it's sort of like, you know, find the concept a little bit interesting. You mean like the... I actually don't know if conlang is an abbreviation for something or what it means, so you'll have to help me out there. Constructed language. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The constructed language thing is definitely... George Orwell did a very good job with that. In fact, one of the things that makes me glad that I hadn't read until now is because now I actually was able to approach the constructed language in that book with a much better lens of analysis, knowing George Orwell's history and his past. Um, George Orwell actually, when he was younger, I guess I don't remember when George Orwell was born, but well, that was bizarre. He fought in the Spanish Civil War. I don't know if you knew this. In the late 1930s, I believe in 1937, there was a lot of political turmoil in Spain. There was a contention between the existing liberal government and the socialists and the anarchists on the one side, and then on the other side, the nationalists, like the ultra nationalists and the fascists. And civil war broke out. It was basically the socialists and the liberals versus the fascists, and it drew a lot of international attention and got a lot of international volunteers. One of those international volunteers was actually George Orwell. He fought with some of the anarchist, like, syndicates and collectives in Barcelona, I believe, or somewhere in that region of Spain, right? Unfortunately, the Republican side, playing MKW now. Yeah, that's okay. I'm just sort of recounting the perspective I'm approaching the book 1984 with. Like, unfortunately, his side lost, but thankfully, George Orwell lived to write not just about his experience. I believe there are some memoirs from his experience fighting in the Spanish Civil War, but he lived to then write the book 1984. Like announcing when my MKW is up. Okay, all well and good. Uh, And that's something that a lot of people, I think, miss, is that 1984 is a book written from a socialistic perspective, and like there's some language in the book that makes it very clear that that's the case, but it's a lot more interesting to see where George Orwell will sort of insert himself and his own experiences into his writing. There we go. But anyway, I broke the book up into several chunks. I can't do a lot of reading in one sitting if I want to retain information very much. Um, so I approached it gradually, and I sort of approached the story from a distance. I kept my distance emotionally speaking, basically the whole time through the story. I knew going in that, like, okay, this is a dystopian totalitarian world, and we're following the character Winston here. He's fucked from the get-go. I assume that he's just dead, because I've heard stuff about 1984. How could I not? It's such a cultural staple. And I know that he loses in the end, but also, like, you can take a look at the world around him and how it is built and constructed, and you can see that, like, he doesn't stand a chance, like Snowball's chance in hell, right? Uh, and what I really appreciated about the book is that it takes mostly from real world inspiration when it is describing and explaining the totalitarian state. A lot of it is from the Soviets, like Big Brother is a stand-in for Joseph Stalin. But a lot of it is also taken from uh, the Nazis in Germany. World War II had been not but 4 years prior to the writing of the book. And of course, Ingsoc, the iconography and imagery associated with Ingsoc, as well as the Ingsoc name, is meant to be directly invocative of the Nazi Party in Germany. You know, Dude, this track is wild. Oh, nice. I don't know what I'm doing on this track. And then another thing that I also really liked when I was reading the book is that in his description of the world, and when George Orwell is writing and all that, he describes that there are three classes, right? There's the outer party, which Winston is a part of. Then there's the inner party, and then there's the proles. Um, you know, and he explores this in depth later when he's talking about the low, the middle, and the high, and whatever. Uh, but I really appreciated that they kept the name of proletariat to emphasize that, like, um, the class structure that a lot of socialists will, that most socialists will say, like, needs to go, of proletariat and bourgeoisie. It's like that class dynamic needs to go. Um, but in this world, fundamentally, that the relationship stays the same, where you have the proletariat, they're actually called that, at the bottom of society, and they're largely uneducated and not conscious of their situation and whatever. And then you have the owning class at the top. You have the inner party who controls everything. And then you have the outer party, which has some privileges more than the proletariat does, and they have access to education and whatnot. But they are by no means in they're by no means in as good a position as the inner party. Um, and that is like that's also a direct comparison to the Soviet Union, funnily enough. The Soviet Union did a lot of similar things where it would claim like, oh, this is owned by the people, this is owned collectively or whatever. But functionally, like in reality, it's owned by party members, and not everybody is a party member in the way that like the higher up party members are. You know, it's a way of like you take the original concept of socialism and you twist it and mangle it to the point where you can now look at something that is objectively fascistic and call it socialism. In fact, Stalin himself did this. He was also an academic author, and he wrote theory. And in his theory, it's like evident how he's taking the original ideas of like the collective ownership and all that, and he's sort of twisting them around and using certain concepts in different places to say like that he is the embodiment of the will of the proletariat or whatever, and you know, that he is advancing the dialectic and whatever. Sorry, that was a big tangent about political theory. And in fact, the one other thing I will say about the political leanings and tendencies of this book is I actually wish that Goldstein's book was a full, like, was available as a full text somewhere, like that George Orwell wrote in full. I wish that was a thing. Because in the book, right, there's a point where Winston decides, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go full anti-Ingsoc mode, right? And he's like, okay, I'm ready to join the super duper secret resistance. And the guy that eventually ends up betraying him is like, all right, you need to read this book. And it's a book by like Goldstein, which is like the person that might not even exist, probably doesn't even exist. That the Ingsoc, the party, says like, oh, he's the big bad guy, he represents all that is bad. And of course his name is Goldstein, because you can't have a totalitarian fascist state in a 20th century political context without them being rabid anti-Semites. In fact, that's clarified pretty early on. That the party is also anti-Semitic, in addition to many other things. But like Goldstein basically explains like, oh, this is how the world works, and in order to safeguard its power and stuff, the party has to make things worse and not better. How did I make that? If that's stuff is still there, I'm not risking that on lap 3. But of course, maddeningly, you know, Winston's reading this book, and it's describing like how the party took socialism and then twisted it for its own aims and stuff. And then he like stops just before it finishes, and like, you know, the thought. This is the point where I think the thought police get him and all that. You know, but I was sitting there and I was like, God damn it! I know they're not going to come back to this because this is where Winston is just done for, right? But I want to see the rest of what Goldstein had to say here in the context of this narrative and whatever. And you know, I brought that up to I actually brought it up to my mom, and she's like, well, you know, you could look for fan fictions and stuff. You know, I'm sure people have written 1984 fan fictions. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? No, I actually don't think that would be a good idea, because I when I'm thinking about Goldstein and what he wrote, it's clearly like George Orwell made that a self-insert. Like when you see Goldstein's writing in the book, that's George Orwell speaking. And so I actually wanted to know the rest of what he was saying there. But I guess that's sort of information lost to time or whatever. Maybe that does exist somewhere else, but just a thoroughly captivating experience. And I think it also, 1984 does a great job of capturing that humans are really bad at engaging with mixed experiences, right? It's part of the psychological thing that keeps people trapped in abusive relationships, is that you will have a menagerie of like horrible things that are happening to you, right? But then there's a couple of good things. There's a couple of genuinely nice little moments that, you know, that happen just in that context. Not necessarily even because of that context, but like you associate the memory with the abusive force. And if there's so much as a couple positive memories among the sea of abuse, people are really bad at saying like, on balance, this is bad and I should escape this, right? You know, and you get when we're looking through Winston's head in the book, you get a lot of that. Especially when he's like being tortured and whatever, and he's describing how they're like there are little breaks in the torture where O'Brien like comforts him and is genuinely interested in him as a person and does seem to care. This is not a sign of a not abusive relationship dynamic or whatever, but O'Brien genuinely does care in a very twisted sort of way. And that actually endears him to Winston. That makes Winston want to put more good faith in him, even when it is abundantly clear that like this is a man who has like had a significant part in the construction of a world that almost solely intends to do Winston harm, or who like, you know. Yeah, let's take that. Mario Kart Wii time trials are calming. They are very nice. It's just you and the track. And the little clock in the top right. Give me my star. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. No, I just meant to take the star. I didn't mean to run into him like that. Oh yeah, this guy knows a shortcut. Let's go. That's sick. Just gonna throw one of the green shells back, or not. Okay. Okay, well, there's one of the green shells. What's up, Bowser Jr.? I'm actually glad that the shock happened at the time that it did, because I was afraid I was gonna run into him. And, you know, that would have been bad. Oh, that's a thing you can do? Oh, shit. I didn't know you could just do that. I just kind of followed Donkey Kong there. You know? Man, how's everybody getting so far ahead? I feel like I've been driving okay. Oh, well. Oh, damn it. Okay, I think I know what you're supposed to do there. You're supposed to release the mini turbo, and then you trick and get on top of that thing. Sorry, Bowser Jr. Or I guess Hammer Bro in my texture pack. There we go. Okay, so that's how you do that. Cool. Yay! That was really sloppy driving in the last bit, but the mushrooms helped me out. Another thing about 1984, there's something that gets brought up again and again, and I don't think it's by accident. I mean, it's definitely not by accident. Is that Winston keeps like saying to himself in his head, if there is hope for this world, it is with the proles, the proletariat. Because he explains that like they're easily 85+% of the population worldwide. And it's like if they did achieve consciousness or whatever, like it would be over. Like that's it for the party. And of course, as implied by the ending section where you get to analyze the constructed language and whatever, at some point that does happen. The party does get destroyed and the world is returned to a more sane state than it is in 1984. But it's sort of loosely connects with a lot of things that O'Brien says when he's torturing Winston at the very end. He's explaining like all of the he's doing the like guy with the whiteboard explaining meme to Winston about like how your efforts are all futile actually and the party controls everything and here's how we control everything. Um there's like a lot of little holes that I begin to notice in his argument. Winston actually notices a couple of them too. Um that it's not a question of if the proletariat like starts to poke those holes into the party at large, but it's more like a question of how many holes are going to get poked before the party just sort of collapses in on itself. Which I really appreciated. It was a strange example of like something that genuinely set me at ease in a section that was otherwise like all hope is lost and whatever. It's like, well, no, there's always a possibility for something better if you're good at looking for it. I'm just gonna use this here. Let's go. Oh, somebody threw a blue shell? Damn. Okay, so how do you do this? You do that, right? Okay. Yeah, you're supposed to do that. I see. I'll just throw this. And then, delightfully devilish, Seymour! I'm a evil genius, is what I am. I didn't realize how close that guy was to me, but, you know, that works. Okay. Do I want to keep being ambitious? I think I do. Okay. That was extra ambitious. Oh, you fucking cheater. he's in a Discord call with somebody. God damn. I actually super think that's like actually cheating and needs to be policed better. It's like, come on, dude. I mean, it is casual, but like, jeez. I'm dead as fuck. I can safely say that I raced better than every other person in this room, this race. There were just a couple crucial moments where somebody was in a Discord call with their friend, or I get item fucked, or like I make one mistake that like makes or breaks the race. Does that sound like salt? Yes, absolutely it does. And maybe it is a little bit, but I think that's indicative of the character of Mario Kart as a game and why we play it. It's because the better player doesn't win. And everybody knows that. Because ultimately, it's not about who's the better player. Like, if you want that, go fucking play Street Fighter or something. I think I'm gonna pick back up on reading stuff in like a couple of days. Sometimes this thing will happen when I read a book or I read a study or like a series of studies that I get like reader's fatigue or whatever it's called. When you do drifts in a row, is it me or does the second and third one come out faster? It's actually not just you. Because what happens there, right? If you get the slip drift, right? A hop takes time, right? And that's time that you're not spending on the ground. But when you get a successful slip drift, when you hop, you're still on the ground. Through some quirk of the physics engine, I don't remember the exact specific mechanics of it, but it does make it so that the second and third mini turbo are faster than the first one, because that time that you were originally spending in the air is actually now spent on the ground charging up the drift. Um, hopefully that makes sense. Give me that. Yeah. 3 red shells. Oh boy, you shouldn't have. What's up, PK Austin? Got him. I'm not gonna red that guy. I think I've actually... Oh, yeah, you tricky bastard. I was just about to say, I think I want to get rid of these red shells, but then, no. Or this one remaining red shell, I should say. Ah, jeez. I had a feeling that was going to hit somebody. I did that more just to get rid of it than anything. Well, here's my comeuppance. That's one of the most frustrating feelings that what I just did to that guy is when you pay the price for somebody else's mistake in game. You know, like I made a mistake. I hit the wall, like my drift didn't come out and whatever. But as a result, that guy got hit with a red shell. He wouldn't have been hit with a red shell if I didn't make a mistake. Oh, okay. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about where I say that the better player doesn't win. Because sometimes you get small rewards for being a worse player. Which can be good and bad. I appreciate it as a part of, like, the Mario Kart formula or whatever. Oh, I got another star. Cool. Ah, I got shocked. Okay. At least it was before the boxes. I'm just going to hold on to this red shell. Or maybe not. Ah, he tried. He tried to squish me, but he did outrun me at the end, so. Now that is one race where I didn't race better than everybody else in the room, but I did better than, like, I placed better than most other people in the room. That's like the opposite of the other race. Do I want to go to a news article? I don't think I do. We got a pretty good room here. And maybe I'll go here. Oh boy, what a nice stretch. And I'll start with the good news stuff, I guess. I talked about this on the other stream where, like, my internet connection was super spotty. But I saw a news article recently. I read a news article recently in the French newspaper about Armenia and Azerbaijan. That's one of the regional wars that had been ongoing until actually quite recently. There were a lot of people very legitimately fearing that this could spill over into another Armenian genocide, you know, because the Azerbaijan enjoyed a lot of support from the West, and Armenia only enjoyed support from, like, Russia, who's currently tied up in Ukraine, a disaster of their own making, etc., etc. But I read in this article that apparently diplomats from Armenia and Azerbaijan have been discussing things lately, and they've started to normalize their diplomatic relations, which means they're trying to cool off the war and, like, bring it to an end. And I think that's great. It's very rare that you get these sort of situations where things do escalate to a war and then cooler heads do prevail. I believe there was some territorial concession on the part of Armenia that they like um, let Azerbaijan take the enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh or whatever it's called, however you pronounce it. Um, but it was a good sign when I read that they did some prisoner exchanges. They like, oh, we have soldiers from your country held captive, and you have soldiers from our country held captive. As a gesture of like good faith and stuff, let's like trade captives and whatever, so that we like both end up freeing our prisoners at the same time and stuff. Um, always a nice thing to see. Um, and I think they also talked about like the next climate summit. I think like some of the climate summits are basically a sham, but it is good that there's like this big international diplomatic event that these countries both agreed like, yeah, we should have it here, and I think they agreed to have it in Azerbaijan's capital city or whatever. And I don't dare get my hopes up too high too early. Um, but it's a small ray of sunshine in the wake of some terrible shit. Yeah, in fact, they have, in addition to all what I've said, they've signed a formal peace accord. I think in the Caucasus Mountains, the like those two countries. It says here Russia's very happy with this. I imagine they would be. I mean, I don't know why they mentioned Russia specifically, but sure. I guess the rest of the world just didn't care enough to be happy or not one way or the other, which is unfortunate. But nice ray of sunshine for a rainy day. Lunar Lights. This is the track where the sticky road actually can get a little bit awkward. I was mentioning earlier about how sometimes a sticky road can launch you in a turn the wrong way or whatever, where like it would almost be just preferable to not have sticky road. This is a track that has sticky road in one place where I think it doesn't need it, and as we get there, I'll mention it. I'll bring it up. Just don't give that to me. All right, cool. Ow. What? There's a It bounced off of the fucking ring thing. Dang. I need an item box. Here we go. It's here. This ending section with the turn and all that. I think that is an example of if I don't get mushrooms, I'll end up taking that turn this lap. But that is an example of Sticky Road being somewhere where it really does not need to be, and I can't see the off-road there very well. I panicked because that guy bumped me. Ah, the shock. I probably use that at not a good time, but Again, I didn't take the turn because I had mushrooms, but... Yeah. There we go. That's the shortcut done well, where I don't fall off the edge like a doofus. Give me box. Yes. Oh, one mushroom? Dang. No! Oh my god! I drove this race so bad. And I got rewarded for it with a shock dodge. If you don't trick off that, it's actually faster. If you have a golden mushroom, that is. You get less airtime. Youch! That's fine. I could be at fucking 6,000 VR and I'd still be having a gay old time. Or even 4,000, but not lower than that, because I think if you go below 4,000, they actually ban you from Weemfi, which is stupid, but it is a thing. In other news, let's go see what ABC has to say. 249, 518 on N64 Bowser's Castle. Nice, very nice. Bowser's Castle 64 is a long one. Kevin McCarthy resigning from Congress after being ousted as House Speaker. Oh, fun. Oh, fun. So, I know that for a lot of people, politics is like bullshit, and that's true. It is, in fact, bullshit. But it is very funny because this guy, Kevin McCarthy, was Republican congressman from California who was the Speaker of the House, basically the top Republican in the House of Representatives, from January up until a couple of months ago, when he was actually voted out of the position by his own party. His well, by some members of his own party, as well as many of the Democrats. There were like Republicans starting a fuss, a select few of them, starting a fuss to like get rid of Kevin McCarthy, and eventually that's exactly what happened. Is that like he was not the House Speaker anymore. And he was like the last person who was part of the like Tea Party crowd. The Republican Party has always been like weird rightoid, like fascist or crypto fascist like weirdos. I said weird twice, but I think it's warranted. Um, it like it went in waves. First, you had the Newt Gingrich people in the 1990s, after like immediately post Reagan. And then you started getting what was called the Tea Party Republicans, people like Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy. Paul Ryan has since left Congress. He's not in Congress anymore, but Kevin McCarthy still is. And now they're being supplanted by the Trump and post-Trump like far righters who are more overtly just fascists, who don't believe in free elections, and like Jewish space lasers and every crazy right-wing conspiracy theory you could cook up under the sun. They believe in. You know the drill. At least if you've ever heard like Matt Gaetz speak and say words or whatever. Look, I'm assuming a lot here. The point is, it is very funny, and I think a good thing that now the top Republican is actually gone from Congress, because it's to me it's like a level of disarray in the Republican Party. How did I not get hit by that, dude? That was wild. I'm gonna get like 7th again, probably. And I had to fight for it too, Jesus. So it's like rift in leadership, really bad coordination and coalition building. But additionally, where's the section I was thinking of? Um, let's see. Here we go. Another Republican politician was quoted as saying Kevin McCarthy's contributions to our country and to growing the House Republican majority are unparalleled. A razor-sharp political mind, Kevin personally raised hundreds of millions of dollars and recruited hundreds of diverse candidates that led us from deep in the minority to the majority. The devotion to building our party is born from strong love of country, blah, blah, blah. That's the important part. Not because Kevin McCarthy is, like, an actual, like, charismatic figurehead or whatever, but because he's good at what he does. And what he does is recruiting and fundraising. The Republicans have gotten worse and worse and worse at messaging because their main policy line is just tax cuts, deregulation, and starving poor communities, right? Like, that's it. And if you try to advertise that to people, as dumb as people are, they don't like that. Because most people are pretty good at discerning right from wrong when it's presented straightforwardly to them. And, you know, that's an example where he's like, I'm gonna take your food, kick your baby, and fuck your wife or whatever. And people are like, no, actually, I think that's bad. He was very good at, like, getting around that. And sort of picking up the slack where it existed in the Republican Party. And now the Republicans don't have that anymore. They don't have anybody who's good at, like, keeping the, like, objective in mind, because they do want all of those things still. But, like, now they can't kind of talk out of both sides of their mouth as effectively. Like, people are just going to see right through it. That's what Kevin McCarthy was good for in the House of Representatives. I'm just gonna, yeah. Ow! Christ. I thought I could make it through that thwomp. I was wrong. It's okay, there's 2 more laps. Just gotta not drive like shit. Although I missed a box, so not off to an amazing start. You know, if I get this one, I'm probably good. Yeah. I assume that guy in last has the shock right now. I'm just going to use this here. So there's the messaging and recruitment part of things, with which the Republicans were already struggling with, but will now be even more struggling with now that McCarthy is gone. But then the other thing that they are struggling with is money. The Republicans are having a very hard time raising money to finance their elections and stuff, because, you know, obviously with elections you get, like, oh, this ad was paid for by blah blah blah. They have to, like, get that from donations. You know, it's not like tax dollars or anything that's funding those elections. And now the Republican Party's best fundraiser is gone. So they're running out not just of money, but they're running out of sources of money. They're running out of places to actually find money. Which is the sign of a very unhealthy and, like, declining political party. And I think that it reaffirms my earlier belief that the Republican Party ultimately is about to, like, be gone. You know all the examples of like the political parties in American history that used to exist but don't anymore, like the Whig Party and the Democratic Republicans and like the Federalist Party and all that. The reason those parties went away, it was actually, like, because eventually their sort of political platform started to become less and less relevant, less and less popular, and stuff like that. And they started to be able to keep up less and less with the times that they were operating in, and you know, that sort of thing. And that's what the Republican Party is experiencing right now. And, you know, because this is a two-party system, eventually there is going to be another party that comes out of that. But it's not going to be this one. $8,777. But you know, it seems like the GOP, the Republican Party, is going through this very humorous routine where I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you can be like running in gym class or just you're out on a jog or whatever, and you trip, and like you think you can save it, but it becomes more and more clear that you're gonna fall, and you keep stumbling and keep trying to save it, and eventually you just like kind of fall down unceremoniously on your side, and you're like, wow, that was fucking stupid. That like, if you take that, hold that image in mind, and then imagine a whole political party of people who have all, in terms of like political messaging, in terms of fundraising, they tripped really fucking bad, and now like they tried to save it, and then they tripped again, and they tried to save it, and they tripped again, and like on some level they have to know like they can't save it. They're just gonna keep tripping, and eventually they're just gonna go all the way down and fall over. And I like watching it because, as much as, you know, there have been conversations I've had with people where they've basically taken the whole like, well, this means that we can't even trust our institutions anymore. First of all, cucked. I never trusted them to begin with. Get owned, idiot. Sorry. But then secondly, like, that assumes that you would want, you know, it's like there's certain assumptions that we need to discard ourselves of. Like, we don't want a competent Republican Party. Me as a leftist, and you know, a lot of people, because that means people's lives get worse. An incompetent Republican Party means nothing happens, which means people's lives don't exactly get better because they're the only other big party in government aside from the Democrats. But if people's lives are staying the same, that means it's not getting worse, which is good, I think. Hit somebody. So, you know, I'm all for watching this clown show go on the Republican Party side of things if it means they're not passing the whole, like, if they're not passing, like, really stupid laws that just make people's lives harder and like, I don't know, shit like that. So, you know, get your popcorn, I guess. That turn is so smooth as Mock Bike. Ooh, he tried. Wonder if I can maintain second or third here. Third, second, you know, whichever. Oh, that was smart. I can't believe I got away with what I just did there. He had the plan ready to go. He was lined up, dude. He tried to fucking say, you're going tight, you're trying to abuse lines. See, I was trying to play it smart. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go tight, he's gonna try to outline me, and I just put a banana in his face and he's fucked, right? But then he was a step ahead. He was like, I know he's gonna do that, I'm gonna use my Mega Mushroom. But then I was even more of a step ahead because I outmaneuvered him and didn't get squished. And then I hit that I hit the wall trick on purpose there because you want to do that on lap 3 so that you get to spend more time in wheelie speed instead of airtime. And I did not want that guy approaching me in a Mega Mushroom. So what a cool last bit of the race. Andrana Frostbite, Pianta Shore, MX Library, Skyline Avenue. So far, so good. These are all tracks that well, Fendrana's Frostbite I only know because I raced it like once. Okay, now we've got Peaks and Final Grounds. Get them out of here. MX Library. Okay. Okay. I want to get rid of these red shells. Yeah, there we go. Blooper, the best item. You actually get less air if you hop a little bit before. Another blooper at the same spot? Bro, it's destiny. That's the wrong sequence to do that. I think you're supposed to trick off the first one like I did last time, and then just not off the second one. I don't know why I did that. Goes out of here. Whew, okay. I'm somehow, like, still racing decently. What the f... That race was hectic as all hell. Dude, I was like... I was so scared at that part where there's a little shortcut on the right. I was like, all 3 laps, I think, there were people in power items passing me, and I was like, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. Or, dude, that makes for good content. I don't know, hit me if you want, I guess. Ooh, something just crossed my mind that I want to talk about. I did have it written down, but I was like, I was also just thinking about it. It's like, because I saw some stuff about it today. It's like come up and gone, like up and down in the past couple of days. Um, I was talking about Congress earlier. Congress usually doesn't do good things. Many such cases. But recently, one of the not good things that they did was they passed a thing into law, or I guess into like House law, whatever. It was a resolution which I don't fully understand the implications of because, bleh, Congress. But it was basically the anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism bill, and like the Congress voted like, yeah, if you don't like Israel, that automatically means that you're anti-Semitic. Um, and I look at that and I'm like, that's fucking stupid. And I think a lot of people know that that's stupid, but I want to explain a little bit why it's stupid and why it's actually not just stupid but also anti-Semitic. To say that like if you're anti-Zionist, that means you're anti-Semitic actually, right? Because first of all, Jews are not a monolith. Um, that's the first and most obvious way that like that is um pretty fucking anti-Semitic actually. If you codify into law that like yeah, if you're anti-Israel, that actually means you hate Jewish people. Because no, it fucking doesn't. Um, but then also like a lot of people who are Zionists, right? Zionist just means you support the existence of the state of Israel. Um, and I mean in the modern sense, it means that like you're willing to go to a lot of lengths to defend Israel. You don't have to be Jewish to do that. In fact, most people in America that are Zionists are not Jewish because you're not going to believe this. There's not that many Jewish people in America. I mean, there's a lot of them. America has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel itself. There's like 7 million Jews that live in America or something like that. Um, but that's still like America's a big country. America's a country of like 330 million. So still a very, very small minority. And there's a lot more people in America that are just regular Zionists than are Jewish Zionists or even just Jews in general. What the? That was dumb. And there are a lot of actually anti-Semites in America that really like Israel. Uh, Neo-Nazis, like people who are blatant neo-Nazis, are pretty 50-50 split on the issue. Because on the one hand, they love ethno-states, which Israel is, but on the other hand, they hate Jews, and Israel is a majority Jewish country. But people who are anti-Semitic and not Nazis, for example, like uh, the crazy Christian fundies in America, um, are anti-Semitic and love Israel because part of the like Christian doomsday prophecy is like God will come down and uh, kill all the Jews in the Holy Land so that the Christians can be raptured up to heaven or some shit like that. It is uh, absolutely insane, and it is death cult shit. But that's like when we talk about Zionism in America, those are the kinds of people that you need to be thinking of, or just random liberals who support America and its allies, regardless of like what the fuck kind of horrible things that they do and that we do. Um, and funnily enough, some of the most prominently figured protests against what Israel's been doing have been from Jewish activists. Jewish Voice for Peace has been doing a lot of work to protest Israel and say like, hey, of course we understand that like anti-Semitism is a problem. It's what led to the Holocaust, and that's why we shouldn't then turn around and do the same thing, a Holocaust, to our like brethren and sister in Palestine and shit like that. And Congress is like, you are anti-Semitic. However, a Christian fundy who has a swastika flag, um, and wants the Jews to occupy the Holy Land so that they can be raptured up to heaven. That's actually not anti-Semitic. Got him. Uh, Just really, really dumb. Although I think, you know, I'll just refer to the refrain that, like, Jews aren't a monolith any more than any other religion, which is to say that no group of people is an ideological monolith, unless we're referring to ideologies. You know, it's like, well, even then, people aren't monoliths. Like, every Jewish person doesn't believe the same thing. In fact, that assumption is really goddamn anti-Semitic. And I've actually have seen some people extend that logic to its extreme, where they then say stuff like, "Oh, if you are not Zionist, then you can't be Jewish." This is not by any means, I think, represented in like the in the government or whatever, but there are people out there who are so hopped up on that Zionist copium that they will say that if you're not Zionist, you're not a real Jew. I remember I learned how to drive this track, but I don't. I forgot over time. No, I should have used my star. Damn it. Okay, it's okay. I have a golden now. I don't know the shortcuts on this track, unfortunately. So I'm just having to sort of freeball it. That's an example of sticky road where maybe it's warranted, but it does leave things feeling kind of awkward. That, like, cylindrical section. You know what? I've thought of a good analog um for the whole thing. I'm sure anybody who's in my chat probably doesn't need to hear this, but in case this makes it into a segment on YouTube or wherever else, imagine if a comparable resolution was passed that said that anti-Nazism was actually anti-German racism. That's the level of stupid that Congress has to be operating off to pass, like, oh yeah, when you're anti-Zionist, that actually means you're an anti-Semite. It's like, damn, that's crazy. Are you going to do anything about the disproportionate rate of hate crimes that Jews suffer in this country? Or are you going to keep virtue signaling about Israel and stuff? And the answer is always the same, because politicians don't actually care about anti-Semitism, but it is a convenient, uh, or it is a very prominent political bludgeon or football, I guess, to be handed around. Where, like, the appearance of it is enough to sink your career because of the, like, whole World War II, America fought the Nazis and stuff, which was obviously good, but... Yeah, who would have guessed, you know, politicians are lying scumbags. That's crazy. I'm just now hearing about this. Grew big at just the right time. Oh, that guy's on Dolphin Dasher, so he can get away with a little bit of off-roading. Yeah, let's go, dude. Yeah, here you go. Give me this box. What's up, Bean Man? I know he was kind of like sizing me up with those, Ooh. I cannot believe I managed to get away with that when that POW happened. I'm just holding this red shell out. I got another one. Sick. And I got another one. I'm a little bit mean. I'm being a little bit mean this session. The best uses of 2 red shells that I think I've ever done. Random. I'm full random today. As of late, I've been going full random on the uh on the CTGP roulette thing, because first of all, there's a lot of good custom tracks, and I have a hard time picking. But then, second of all, because there's like some of the new ones I don't recognize as well, so I'm down to just race whatever and you know, be casual about it. Because I want to eventually learn the new ones, but like, you know, hard time choosing. It's not like the old days where there would be a few really good custom tracks, and then the other ones would be kind of meh or like pretty bad. And so there's a little bit more of a like, well, I definitely don't want to accidentally choose a horrible one. Oh god, mirror mode. Oh. Yeah, okay. You can take the inside line here. I kind of didn't want that draft, but yeah. Did somebody take shortcut? Yeah, many somebodies. Wow. Okay. Give me this box. Ah! Ah! We're all getting fucked up. Yeah, get. This is great. Ooh, a bullet bill? I guess there are only 7 people in the room. Here, I'll use it around this corner. Excuse me, gentlemen. Coming through if you don't mind here. Yeah, they're gonna do that. It's all well and good. Yep. A sure sign that like that you could hit somebody with a red shell is if they don't show what they have right away, because that means that like they want to trick you into thinking that they have something. If they had like a banana or a green shell, they just hold it out. Ooh, okay. Might have benefited a little bit from that. Oh, god damn it. Okay, I passed one person. Wait, did I not? No. Okay, well, that's fine. Let me... There we go. Oh yeah, actually, speaking of the whole issue of anti-Semitism and Palestine and Israel and whatever, I saw some news that actually made me it continues to give me a small spark of hope in very dark circumstances. So recently, for context, the background of this is that there was actually a resolution in the UN Security Council to say, hey, we should do a ceasefire, right? And the US predictably vetoed it. They're like, no, we shouldn't do a ceasefire. Israel should keep bombing children and stuff. I'm gonna RTWW. I'm gonna try to ignore my VR. Yeah, okay. Godspeed. Good luck with that. Um, I don't have to hide the VR yet. Yeah, I wish that was a thing. I'm not taking that shortcut over there. See, there I think there could be some sticky road. Um, so the U.S. vetoed this UN resolution, but in the wake of that, because public opinion is pretty reliably on the side of Palestine, mass protests broke out again. There's like another wave of protests recently. Um, there's been protests ongoing for quite a while, but even more so lately. Uh, and after the race is done, I'll be able to look at some of the details of that because it's genuinely like the sheer amount of people that engage in these protests is quite a sight to see, you know? Sometimes I wish that Mario Kart Wii's VR system was a little bit more like Mario Kart 8, you know, where it's a pretty steady gain of VR. Is you just gain it really slowly and you don't lose much when you get a really bad placement. Oh, I finally learned how to do that. Probably gonna get like third. Nice. So, ABC 7. Pro-Palestinian protesters storm Brooklyn Bridge to demand ceasefire. That's the main demand, that the most coherent demand from a lot of pro-Palestine protesters is ceasefire. Genuine, like, ceasefire and pull out troops, which is a basic demand, but it's very clear, concise, and actionable. Uh, Lower Manhattan. As the bloodshed continues in Gaza, pro-Palestinian protesters are vowing to continue to make their voices heard, demanding a ceasefire. Demonstrators stormed the Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday evening, some of them climbing up the bridge and temporarily shutting down the Manhattan-bound side. Is all part of the Flood Brooklyn for Palestine protests. Basically, using the fact that there's so many people to like flood the streets and stop traffic and stuff, which I think is a good strategy because a lot of successful protests are disruptive because that gets a lot of attention. Organizers accuse a number of local institutions of being complicit in what they say is an ongoing genocide in Gaza. Yeah, coming out of New York City, I'm not super surprised. It is a being that it's a big city, the Democratic Party pretty soundly dominates politics there. But in New York City, it's like the anti-progressive faction of the Democrats that like really dominates. You know? Well, thank you for not redding me again. I appreciate that. Dude, I can't believe I didn't land that. We're getting a lot of clan tags in the worldwide today. A lot of sweat lords, as it were. Alright. Probably gonna start using this here. This is the most obvious place, I think. Yeah. Yeah, New York City is controlled by, like, the anti-progressive faction of the Democratic Party, which is the dominant faction. But, you know. Give me that box. Nice. Did I get past again? Oh my god. I can't believe that happens always. Is there any more to this article? Dude, some guy joined. His name is E. I support him. No, okay, this is a pretty short article. I guess it's only appropriate. There's not much more to it than that. Yeah. So cool stuff. Royal Rainbow. Oh boy. This track is actually a lot of fun. I really like it. How big is my life start going to be? Okay, not that big. Okay. Alright, I guess I'm starting out at a deficit again. Yes, I made it onto here. Oh, okay. Nice try with the banana, whoever that was. Ah, yes. Okay. Ow. Can you just do that without a mushroom? I swear I'm missing something. Get rid of those green shells. I don't want them. Okay, cool. Remain calm, bro. I'm not gonna throw this back at you. Got him. I can't believe I lived. We both lived. Dude! This is sick. I have to be missing something. There's no way they all have mushrooms when they're doing that. Or maybe they did. 'Cause I got triple mushrooms. Why did I do that? My item roulette isn't cycling. I just noticed. I actually can't spam items. You know what? I remember earlier when that guy slowed down to let me pass and the blue shell came and I was like, he's in a Discord call with his buddies. How much money do you want to bet that these three guys with the PK clan tag are all in a Discord call and teaming? Ooh. Beef Boss, let's go. Is that Poofisher himself? The man? The myth? The legend? I must protect him at all costs, probably. All my money? Yeah. I mean, statistically, the kind of people that join a Mario Kart Wii clan would be the kind of people who would also do that. GCN Rainbow Road? My man's got good taste in tracks. Yoshi Lagoon? What? That person has shit taste in tracks. I don't know. For all I know, they hit start and got Yoshi Lagoon. Start does the, like, randomizer select all over the place thing. Do people not know how to do that section? It's kind of weird. Bro, what is Bowsette cooking over there? This is one of the few tracks where I'm really confident about my ability to drive. And it's not a good track, you know, just to make that clear. Yeah, you don't want to hit that mushroom. Okay, that was very close. I could have. I was so afraid I would just clip the wall and, like, you know, out of bounds I go. That's it. I meant to chain the box there. Okay. That worked out. You cannot target shock me. Hey man, finally been back. Been sick the whole world. The whole cold package, you know? Oh yeah, I got you. And welcome back. Hope you're feeling better. Right now, I am racing for my life against these guys that have clan tags next to their name and are clearly trying very hard. So I'm out sweat lording them in this race in particular. And then I'm back to not caring. Mostly better, finally. Been like a week, hasn't it? Yeah, something like that. All right. Item roulette doing its thing. Okay. Probably did the Dutch thing, I'm afraid. The Dutch thing? Oh. You mean, fuck, what was it? Let me look at Discord to see what we were talking about there. I think I did. Politics, new elections. Yes, that's right. I did do that. I did talk about that. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, let me recap real quick. That was the one where the like Freedom Party won a bunch of seats? Yeah. You're which I was there for some inside info. Yeah, true. Yeah, it looks pretty not good, I think. I mean, the left party is in second place, but then you got like the Mark Roots party, the VVD, and then you got NSC below them. So not looking great. The one caveat I want to offer about the Dutch far right winning, they're going to do a lot of damage regardless. If they are, coalition building the way far right parties typically do with other mainstream right wing parties. What happened last time with Mark Rutte's government is going to repeat itself at some point in the intermediate future, in the next several months, in the next year or two. That's going to happen again, because one of the biggest core elements of fascism is that they have no idea how to run a government. Anything that requires actual skill and like, oh, without Mark Rutte, don't forget that part. 80 people left. Important detail. Yeah, I noticed they lost a ton of seats. So, with Mark Rutte and whatever, that was just the mainstream right wing party, which means that like it was just your garden variety, corruption and incompetence and whatever. But now with fascism, the incompetence and the stupidity is going to be cranked all the way up to 11. So, the government collapse where like parties start disagreeing and squabbling and whatever, and they like can't get their shit together, and then maybe some corruption scandals break out, and the government collapses. That's gonna happen again. I don't know when, but it will relatively soon. Like several months to like a year or two. And it's going to be worse this time than it was last time. Like the Dutch government is going to be in for a world of hurt. And all the right wing parties are going to get probably blown out again. I mean, I can't say for certain. Because that's basically what happened in the United States. The Republican Party was failing, and then they coalesced around a further right-wing element, and then they started floundering again. And it's been a perpetual cycle of missteps and like policy failures and like government failures and stuff. And that's the far right in every country. But sorry, what did I miss out on? I almost don't know where to use this. Or probably here. I don't know. I hate that they use the fact that I can't see bullshit to my advantage here. I'll take that. Excuse me. I need to... Okay, well. I was gonna say, I'll take that and just run it to the cannon. Easy. Give me that box. Yes. Yeah. Here, I'll just throw this forward. There you go. You don't got to worry about me, Mr. PK Grant. Oh, what luck? Fun blue shell. Mega mushroom. I'll use it at the end of the boost panel strip here. There we go. We didn't get a box. I didn't dodge, but valuable time in the mega mushroom. Beef boss! Let's fucking go, dude. You bastard! Beef boss, please avenge me. You saw they fucking went out of their way to do that. You don't go on that left boost panel there. That one's slower. They had to go out of their way to use those bananas. Is there something I missed out on? I don't know, like, forgetting one huge comical detail. The leader of the PvV, Geert Wilders, is acting totally different, all probably because of all of his plans, like de-Muslimization, the climate plans. Those are all impossible because of human rights and the EU and stuff. Yep. So instead of explaining how to make those plans actually happen, he's suddenly acting like nice guy prime minister in comparison to his 12-year-old self. Yes, that's absolutely right. And I love that you mentioned that, and I should have known to bring that up earlier. Because fascists have no idea how to govern, they either humiliate themselves hilariously once they get in office, or they have to pretend that they're not fascists. They have to, like, play the, oh, I'm, you know, Mr. Reasonable Politics guy game, right? And that's what the PVV party leader is doing, Geert Wilders, because, like, when you get in government, you have to actually have an agenda. As it looks right now, because of that partially, the parties are just not making a government. They can't work together. And that's another thing that is inherent to fascism, is the insane level of, like, fighting that goes on between them. You see, fascists need, like, the in-group, out-group thing. There's, you know, leftists will infight all the time on the internet, right? But the infighting that happens on the left is, like, between just regular Joes, right? The infighting that happens within fascism on the right is like political parties with minute differences tearing each other apart because they call the other Jewish or something like that, right? So what, you know, what I can imagine is happening is that, like, Geert Wilders is saying, like, oh, de-Muslimization and all that. He said that on the campaign trail to get the votes. But now the other right-wing parties are like, well, you're a little bit too crazy for us on that front. Like, you know, we're not super comfortable with Muslims, but, you know, you're very rude and mean, and, you know, we don't want to work with you because of that. You know, and that's basically causing rifts within the right wing, and they're, like, tearing each other to shreds over it. And the same thing that happened last time is going to happen this time, which is all these parties presumably agree in some measure over these, like, restricting immigration and, like, not liking Muslims and things like that. You know, they're all right-wing parties, but they all can't work together because they all hate each other, you know? And so kind of like how Mark Rutte's government collapsed over the whole, like, immigration issue. You know, people are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, you know, you're only pretending to be moderate on this issue, or, like, you're only, you know, I don't know what your actual belief is here, because, you know, the far right does that sort of thing. And, you know, government's going to collapse again eventually. And like you mentioned, you know, even if he went out and out with it, like you mentioned, he can't do anything because, like, the EU would prevent him from doing that. Yes, partially correct. But I gotta be fair and also say that what's the word for when it looks at similarities between the parties to see who can make a government work together? Oh yeah. Those guys have been kind of bad at their job so far. Yep, they've been very bad at coalition building. Coalition building is the process where you say, okay, we have these political objectives, right? Like we want to do this stuff, and then other parties don't agree with us on everything. But we do agree on some stuff, so we can say, hey, we both agree on this. Why don't we work together for this thing? And, like you set your differences aside. Yeah, they like right-wing parties are the further right you go, the worse the political parties are at coalition building. And of course, every party struggles with this to some degree. Left-wing parties, right-wing parties, whatever. And yeah, because there was actually that pre-existing infighting, I expect that, like, obviously everybody in government hasn't forgot about, like, the government collapsing. So they're like, I don't know if we can actually work with each other here. Like, this didn't go well last time. you know? Get me out of the way of that guy in a star, please. I don't want to be around that guy. Box. How am I in third? How am I in third? What's up, Schmancy? No! Ah, that sucks. It's okay. It's all good. But what they didn't know is that it's actually okay. BBB just wants to be grown-ups and talk like that instead of the internet, which she said using the internet. And Mr. Peter Omzicht from NSC, he just can't make up his mind. Classic centrist. Classic. The NSC is trying to like do the both sides shtick, but like on the one hand you have the left party, which is like, was it GreenLinks, right? Yeah, GreenLinks, PVDA, the Green Left Labor like group, is like presumably doing reasonable stuff, and then the far right is over here pretending they weren't just talking about banning all Muslims from the country. And the NSC is like, I don't know, maybe we could, compromise a little bit, and then like, I don't know if the NSC actually believes that, but centrist parties usually do that sort of thing. That where they're like, guys, both sides are adding, are being unreasonable, despite one of them being Hitler too, and the other one being like actually pretty reasonable. So yeah, wow, some things are indeed happening in Dutch politics over there. Um, Oh yeah, I also since we're, on the subject of Dutch politics, I did have the opportunity to look at the Dutch child care benefits scandal. It was actually a little bit different than what I thought it was when you brought it up the first time. Um it was I read a bit about it, and it is super fucked up. Like tens of thousands of people were wrongfully kicked off of their like welfare benefits because the government was trying to like crack down on fraudsters and whatnot. Looked away from the screen and mashed A so I didn't see my VR. Hey, there's a good technique. Whoa, what? Super high trick. Not what I wanted for Christmas. But it was like the Dutch childcare benefits thing was just so wild, Yeah, new viewer. And I actually, I gotta say it, that's neoliberalism. Like for people who are not well versed in Dutch politics, such as the Giga Chad himself, 1v3, but in the 2000s, I think there were like the Dutch government implemented some like child welfare stuff, which I think is very cool. Just like as a concept, I like welfare programs. But quickly they were like, oh right, we're encountering some challenges with this. There are like third-party companies and like contractors and stuff that are trying to take advantage of the system, because stuff like that happens in policy making, and so they're like, oh, we got to sort this out. But they started looking in the wrong places, right? So what these companies had been doing was like, hey, we'll do some babysitting for you. Gotta you saying I'm Giga Chad, my friend will go crazy. Yeah, it's because look, not many people have the patience for an ill-informed American, and so um, but like these childcare companies were like finding ways to basically put the blame on Dutch families, like random poor Dutch families, for not paying their childcare bills or whatever. There was a lot of legal trickery where they're like, actually, it's the family's fault, not our fault, So it's them you should be looking at. And the government just kind of went with that, and they were like, okay, well, let's get all these families to stop committing this fraud and stuff. And past 2 hours, so. And there was a lot of like hearings and prosecutions and stuff. A lot of people got thrown off of the child welfare system, and like had no way of getting their benefits back, even if the government admitted like, yeah, we don't think you actually did it, but like we thought this big group of people might have had somebody that committed fraud, so all of you get your childcare taken away, and we're not going to give it back. And I was like, oh my god, dude. And but here's the thing, is that is a necessary consequence of a government that doesn't like paying for things, and a government that is like sociologically illiterate. Won't online Wii and Wii U rooms shut down? Will they? I don't know. Government that will be removed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure there's something I'm missing here. But playing on yeah, no, 1v3 knows that. He's played on Wing 5. We've played in the same room before, actually. Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say about like the Dutch childcare benefits scandal is that like that's neoliberalism in a nutshell. Like governments will do that stuff, and a lot of times they, maybe they started and they like actually want to get rid of fraud in the welfare system and whatever. But they always are like, nah, it couldn't be the companies that we sign contracts with that do that. It has to be like random individual people, poor people in their homes. And so they like end up kicking people off of welfare, and they like, there have been certain metrics where they measure their success by how much money they save, and that's not good. It's generally not good. Anyways, that's enough of me rambling, and I don't know if Weemfi is actually like gonna shut down. Here, hold on. Is Weem shutting down? That's 4 years ago, but oh, here we go. Maybe this is it? Wait, no, that was this was a while ago. I don't know. I don't see anything that would suggest that Weemfi is shutting down. I hope it doesn't, because that would be bad for content if it did. But in the meantime, very hearty thank you to the people who decided to watch the stream, and I will now I can ask, maybe they can ask. Yeah, sure. In the meantime, enjoy some Cody Schwab. He's playing Super Smash Bros. Melee. Hope you guys like Smash Bros. And I will see you on Tuesday. I'll be back on Tuesday. So, bye-bye.